course, there are dozens of first responders and investigators hard at work right now, but if you didn't know what was going on and you just came by and maybe you didn't notice that there was a smell in the air, you might not know anything that was going on. But I do want to recap just some of the stuff that we do know. The plane, as you said, crashed at 5:15.
Yeah, Jose, well, evidence later suggested the gunshot that killed Christina was too far away to be self-inflicted, and then Gower was arrested. Now, almost a year later, Gower's defense team is arguing that his Sixth Amendment rights were violated when officers from the Clark County Sheriff's Office read text messages between him and one of his lawyers. I'm going to show you a little bit of what it's like to drive on this bridge. Now, some drivers we talked to say they worry about people speeding and also just the narrow size of these lanes. LMPD usually releases the body camera footage from these incidents within 10 business days from when the incident happened, but this is a quick turnaround. Now, LMPD Chief Paul Humphrey says that he had enough information to start that termination process of Officer Nathan Stott. At the center of this park is this lake, and that is where the search is going on. We've been here for a few hours, and it was originally the Anchorage Middletown Fire and EMS that was kind of taking the lead on this search. Now they've handed it over to LMPD, who have some divers in the water. Now, we don't know too much about the investigation right now, but we do know that they are looking for a white male that is believed to be in his mid to late 30s. I'm just going to step out of the way to show you exactly what this house looks like right now. A tree fell pretty much straight through it. Now, when we were standing out here, the owners of this house actually drove up, and I actually have them with us right now. This is Crystal and Dawn, and so I just kind of want you guys to tell us what happened. I know you said you guys were asleep. Kind of run through the events of the morning.
Well, we were asleep, and it was like around 5 o'clock. We hear a loud banging noise, and I jumped up because I didn't know what it was. And when we looked out of the door, because it's a shotgun house, so when we looked out the room, you could see the whole tree and the whole inside of the living room. Everything was caved in.
And how far was it from you guys? Was it?
It was we was right there. It's not that long. Like the bedroom's right here, the living room's right here, so we was just a couple of feet away.
Jose, Evelyn Blake's son and sister say the circumstances around her disappearance and death have never quite added up to them. Even though they now know her remains were found, they believe there is much more to the story. Jason Duncan tells me he spends a few minutes of every day listening to voicemails his mom, Evelyn Blake, left for him.
That's about the only thing that I have left.
Jason didn't know that when his mom called him on July 21st of 2024, it was the last time he would talk with her. On the 22nd, he got a call from his Aunt Sue Lucas saying she was missing. Sue told us Evelyn and her husband Tommy lived right next door. It all started when she saw Tommy crossing the yard to her house.
And he said, Evelyn didn't come home, said she's missing.
Sue says Tommy told her he and Evelyn had gotten into a fight, and he had dropped her off near a farm up the road, a place she went to often and knew well. And that was the last time he'd seen her. People then searched that farm, which spanned several hundred acres. But Sue and Jason say the search on the farm was eventually called off, partially because the property was privately owned.
They should have got a search warrant and searched every inch of that property.
Sue tells me authorities came and told her that they had talked to her sister on the phone and that she was coming home. The Breckinridge County Sheriff's Office posted this on July 24th, saying they were aware of that phone call, but, quote, are still seeking out different locations and will not stop until a law enforcement officer physically makes contact with her. Her family members say they didn't buy it.
There has not been a day that's gone by since cell phones were a thing that she has not called me.
I would have been number one for her to call, no matter what kind of time of night or day it was. She would have called me.
And Evelyn never did come home. In March of 2025, human remains were found on the property where Evelyn was last believed to be. Jason tells me he was asked to come in for a DNA sample that fall. And earlier this week, exactly 2 years from the day she disappeared, the Breckinridge County coroner told Jason those remains were his mother's. Jason says he wasn't surprised, but is still left with more questions than answers. He doesn't believe his mother died of natural causes.
Even though that she had the early stages of Alzheimer's. She knew that place well enough to come home. I would get it if she was a little bit farther along in it, but I just don't believe that that's how she was meant to go out.
Now he just hopes his family eventually gets justice, no matter how long it takes.
She missed my oldest son's wedding in November, and I'm having 2 grandkids next year, and she's going to miss that.
And so if she was here, what would you say to her?
I just want her to know that I love her and I miss her.
The Breckinridge County Sheriff's Office did put out a press release earlier this week confirming that the remains found were Evelyn's and saying the circumstances around her death are still under investigation. I called the Sheriff's Office earlier today and was told my information would be passed along to Sheriff Billy Richardson, but so far I have not heard back. While one of the owners here at Louisville Cemetery told families it would be back up and running by April 15th, several tell me they have prepaid plots here and still haven't been able to bury their loved ones.
Our grieving process should have been a whole lot simpler.
Kenneth Ritchie's father passed 2 weeks ago. He has a prepaid plot at the Louisville Cemetery, so Ritchie expected the process to be easy. It's been anything but.
We called around and found out that their funeral homes had this cemetery as being abandoned or defunct. Now we had to figure out where can we put him. Right now he's buried over at Green Meadows because we could not get a hold of anybody here.
And that's been the case for several families for months. Giovanna Durston has several family members buried here. Now she can't get her mother's headstone installed or even find her grave.
We don't know how to count the rows.
When Durstons tried reaching out, she hasn't been able to get a hold of anyone. On top of that, groundskeeping staff was laid off in the fall, leaving families to take on the maintenance themselves.
I have no clue of what's going on. And in my receipt where we paid to bury our family, there's a charge on it for groundskeeping.
A few months ago, one of the cemetery's owners, Clark Cox, came forward, making his contact information public and saying he was working on things.
You'll tell me what you're gonna do, but your actions have not shown it. So now I have no faith in you at all. None. No faith.
My whole entire family, we all was calling his phone, leaving messages, so we couldn't leave any messages no more because his mailbox is full. Never heard from him, never got a return call.
LaTarsha McKinney is Kenneth Ritchie's cousin. Her aunt, who also has a prepaid plot at the Louisville Cemetery, died back in March. Now she's been buried at Green Meadows instead. They add on to the growing families who say they just want accountability and answers.
It makes it more heartbreaking because we want everybody to be together. That was their plan. Everybody wanted to be together. They found the rest of the place was supposed to be together. And now you're separating people.
I have reached out to Mr. Cox several times and have yet to hear back. Julia Richardson, Wave News.